Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge, where I sit with some of the theater's best and brightest, chatting it up. This time is international teen idol and actor Nick Jonas, who has recently stepped into the role of J. Pierpont Finch in the hit revival of How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, playing here at the Al Hirschfeld Theater. We'll talk about returning to the stage, guest starring on Smash, Les Mis, and everything Jonas.
How to apply for a job. How to advance from the mailroom. How to sit down at a desk. How to dictate memorandums. How to develop executive style.
This is your first time back on stage on Broadway as an adult. How's it different?
It's different in so many ways. I mean, first of all, just, sort of a leading role like this really requires so much of me, not only on stage every night, but sort of the extracurricular activities, if you will. And that's been an interesting road to walk down and really fun as well, just taking ownership of this role in this show. And a role like Finch, it really takes time to, I think, understand each piece of it, from the comedy to, in this production, the choreography is insane. And then also just working with different actors every night. We've had a lot of different moving parts, and it's been fun to walk down that road and kind of, just take it day by day. And I think that for me, it's been a dream come true to be back on the Broadway stage, and to have it be this show specifically is an honor.
You look like you're having the time of your life up there. And like you said, you're dancing amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Was that the toughest thing, the Rob Ashford choreography? What was the biggest challenge for you with Finch?
The biggest challenge, I don't know that it was the choreography. I was lucky enough to have a few days out in LA with someone who knew the choreography before I came out here. So they showed me a bit of it, and so I could kind of have it in the back of my mind for about 2 weeks that I had off for Christmas. And then I came to New York and really felt comfortable with the choreography. For some reason, it just kind of clicked and made sense. And so, obviously putting it with the rest of the company was a bit of a challenge at first, but settled in quite nicely. And it's actually more than anything just been the stamina. And not necessarily physically, but just sort of all the talking. All the talking in the show. Finch has a lot of words to say, and he also talks really fast. I have to realize.
I heard that Daniel Radcliffe came back to see you in the show.
He did. He saw it on the end of my first week and came back, said hello, had some great things to say a few days after when he was doing some press for his new film. So that was great, and he obviously did such an amazing job in this role, and so for him to come check me out, and it was really great.
What was that performance like, knowing he was here? And did anything go wrong? Any mishaps that night?
Yeah, something did go wrong, and it was really embarrassing and frustrating for me. I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I beat myself up over things like this. But basically, in the big boardroom scene where I'm giving the big speech about the Finch presentation, I just got lost. And I don't know if it was because he was in the house or what was going on, but I just got lost. I don't know what happened, and I just stood there blank face. And I looked at Rose, who plays Rosemary in the show, and I was like, she got me back on track. But it was the only time it's happened in this show so far, and it's the last time it will happen. I can assure you that too. But we also had a show stop, the one he was at. Like, the sliders wouldn't come on, and it was kind of a crazy show. But he still loved it. And that's what matters.
Live theater. That's what happens.
Exactly.
You just guest starred on Smash. You were so wonderful the other night on Smash.
Oh, thanks so much.
What was it like working on that show and working with the cast?
Amazing working on that show. First of all, the role that I played was a really fun role for me because he's so different to who I am. Very precocious and kind of a wild character, but it was fun to sort of take on for a few days, and obviously working with Angelica Houston and Deborah Messing and Catherine McPhee and Jack Davenport and Megan Hilty, all these people, just kind of mind-blowing. I was sort of pinching myself on the set, making sure it was really happening. And then the rollout of it all has been amazing to see the fan response, and people that maybe weren't as familiar with the work that I'd done that were introduced to me in a new light on that show was really exciting.
I promise you, kid, I don't give so much more than I get. I just haven't met you yet.
Lyle, this is Ivy. She's playing my Marilyn.
I can immediately see why they cast you as Marilyn. That dress is amazing.
Lyle, this is very precocious behavior for a 15-year-old.
I'm 12, you jerk.
So would you like to pursue more dramatic roles?
I'd love to pursue some more dramatic roles. I think if the right thing comes up, and if it's a role that I feel like is another step for me as an actor, and that I can continue to grow in, I think it'd be great. And that was one of those where I was able to do some singing and some acting, and work with some really talented people. And so I'd love to find more things like that if they're out there as well.
Where did your love for performing begin? How old were you?
Oh, it's tough to put my finger on it because I think it was just always there. I grew up in a really musical home. My dad's a pianist and vocalist himself, and just has an incredible ear for music, and sort of understands it all so well that it was a great environment for us to be around growing up, and for me specifically, just always encouraging of my passion for performing. And my parents actually went and saw Les Mis when I was about 5 or 6 years old and said, "There's a role for a young boy in this that we're sure you could do one day," because they always heard me singing around the house and knew that I wanted to perform in some way. And so I immediately sort of, at age 6, decided that I would go and listen to the Les Mis soundtrack, fell in love with it, and I think that's when the whole thing started.
Because Les Mis has played a big part in your professional career.
It has. It's really been kind of a sort of milestone in a lot of places. But I was in the final cast of Les Mis here on Broadway back in 2003, before they did the revival a few years later. But in the final cast as Gavroche, and then went and did the O2 performance in London, as well as a kind of 2-month run in the West End. And even now I always think, God, I found myself in the shower singing the one-man show version of Les Mis all the time, as I'm sure a lot of theater lovers do. Really excited for the film now, too.
Yeah.
We've got some friends who are in it, and so it'll be fun to see that whole thing roll out.
You would live 100 years if I could show you how. I won't desert you now.
The rain can't hurt me now.
Samantha Barks was your Eponine
She was,
in London.
yeah.
She's doing the film now.
She is. I was so excited to see that news. So happy for her. And I've got some other friends who I've been messaging with who are part of the ensemble in the movie, and have standout moments. But they've been keeping up to date as to all of it. So I've kind of got the inside scoop, and I'm really excited to see it.
And doing that 25th anniversary concert that was put out on DVD, how exciting was that, playing Marius and working with all those great people who had done Les Mis before?
It was incredible. I mean, I was really humbled in that room because there were so many talented people, and so many people that had played the role that I was playing in it, and who had such incredible voices and talent acting-wise as well. And so I was honored to be playing Marius in that, and I think I'd love to come back for the 50th anniversary and play Valjean one day.
Well, I think you said that one-man Les Mis show, I think it'd be great. Do it for a benefit for like Broadway Cares or something,
I
right?
would love to. I actually talked about that before because it's one of those shows. I think I saw a YouTube video of someone doing kind of a one-man show version of it, and it actually becomes a comedy. For a show that's so dark, it is quite a funny thing to watch one guy try to pull it all off, but it's a good time.
When you were working on Broadway as a kid, did your brothers want to do Broadway also?
My brother Joe did do Broadway, actually. A lot of people don't know this, but he did Oliver in New Jersey at a regional theater, and fell in love with theater after, basically he'd seen how much fun I was having. And at the time I was in Beauty and the Beast, and then he got cast in Baz Luhrmann's production of La Boheme. And so he did that here in the city for I think 6 months or 7 months, however long it ran, and loved it. Performed on the Tonys. That's one thing he's done that I've never done. He performed on the Tonys.
Really?
So I got to do it one day.
This year?
No.
Maybe this year will be on the Tonys, right?
Maybe
months
they'll
away.
have me present or something. I think How to Succeed had an incredible performance last year, for the Tonys. So I'll let them, have their glory in that moment. Maybe I can present. That'd be an honor.
You and your brothers have millions of fans. How do you view fame and what it's given you?
I always sort of, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I had my 2 brothers with me on the ride, which was really helpful for us to keep sort of our heads in the right place, and our family's great, and the people we surround ourselves with. But I love this quote Ray Charles says, I never wanted to be famous, I just wanted to be great. And I think that's the key, is just, fame comes along with this thing that we're fortunate to get to do, which is to perform for people that want to hear us perform. But by no means is that what we're after. And it's just about creating great art and great work for people and for ourselves. Part of the great luxury that we've had is we've been able to write music and have that be our creative outlet. And that means a lot to us, because we realize we're fortunate to have a voice that people want to hear. And so it's been an amazing run.
As you grow up, you've made all the right choices. Who or what guides you, Nick?
I I mean, I wouldn't say I've made all the right choices. I would say I do my best, and that's all you can ask for. But I think that the thing that guides me is just a real passion for what I do, and like I said a minute ago, an understanding that there are so many talented people who don't ever get to have the opportunities that I've had, and I take that with great responsibility and just try to do the best I can, knowing that that's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. Hairspray at the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah.
What was that whole experience like and the best moments of that?
It was like, what's the best way to describe it? Like summer stock or something. It was kind of like...
But with the best.
With the best ever.
Yeah.
We had 2 weeks to get the show up and running, which, it was my first introduction now as an adult into the dancing thing again. I hadn't really done it in a while, and first couple days I really struggled, and then all of a sudden it just clicked and made sense again, where it comes into your body and you go, oh, this is working, I understand how this happens. And Jerry Mitchell was really gracious, and his team were really gracious, giving me a little extra attention, but then I finally just clicked it in and felt really good about it all. And obviously that cast, Harvey and Marissa and John Stamos and Corbin, they were all amazing. We had a really fun time, and we feel like, the shows that we had for only having a few weeks to rehearse, we were really happy with what happened and the response from the crowd.
Your music career, now that you're on Broadway, I know it's so important to you, where does it fit into the scheme?
Well, the great thing about the Broadway schedule is that, we have the days for the most part.
Yeah.
Apart from some of the promotional stuff I've had to do starting up in the show, I do sort of have the days to be able to go into my home. I've got like a little home studio set up that I can go and create in. And, I think my brothers and I will start writing very soon for another record for our fans. It's been a while. It's been about 3 years since we released a record, and been on kind of a 2-year hiatus from touring and all that. But I think, we've taken our time and we'll start creating again.
I want to talk about your brothers. You all play these huge arenas that hold thousands and thousands of fans. So not just as a performer, but as a human being, how does that feel?
It's in the moment
surreal?
it sort of doesn't feel. I don't know. It's hard to explain because we look at our journey and say we're so glad that we had the small venues. 10 people would show up to a show, and we were rejoicing, and then it grew over time, and unlike a lot of sort of success stories these days where people have more mass exposure from a television program or something like that gives them that sort of mass appeal, and then they can go into the arenas right away. We had a slow grow, and it really was character building for us, and it was made each success sort of moment matter even that much more. And as time progresses, I think we've learned to look at each sort of season of our career as a great thing, and knowing that we can go places in the U.S. and play for crowds of thousands of people is a crazy mentality. And when you're on the stage, I don't know that you're consciously thinking about how many people are in the room, but more just about being so grateful to be able to play music for people that want to hear it.
And how cool is it that a lot of the fans that are coming to see How to Succeed are going to see a Broadway show for the very first time because it's you, and that will change them. Do you remember the first show you saw?
First show I saw was The Sound of Music with Marie Osmond.
Yeah.
Which was incredible. I fell in love with the theater after that. But it is great to think about this being a lot of people's first theater experience. And I feel that it's a great show to have your first theater experience with, because this production specifically is so vibrant in so many ways, from the music still being so current, and the book being so relevant, and then the colors of the show, the choreography, everything about it is so appealing to so many different people in different walks of life. I think that this is a blessing that this is the show that I'm doing, because it does work for someone if it's their first experience.
And the biggest thrill of just being back on Broadway in a starring role means what to you?
I think that moment when the elevator door opens in the show here and I come out from my bow at the end of the night, that's a sort of a crazy feeling that I'm still not getting used to every night. I've never been the last one to bow in a show that I've ever been in, and sort of in a way feel a bit uncomfortable about it. So I bow very quickly and then call everyone else on. But it's it's very surreal, and I don't take it for granted. I'm very thankful, and hope that there's another theater opportunity down the road for me once this all finishes up as well.
Yeah. Would you like to do a play?
I would love to do a play. You know, I think the musical part of me goes, I love singing, and I love roles that I can sing in, and now dance as well. You know, I love the dancing, but I would always consider a play. It would be fun.
It would be cool to have you back here on Broadway.